You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host, Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts, Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
You are listening to The Money Hour at 1150 AM KKNW, the Friday, December 4th virtual show. Because of COVID-19, our show is temporarily moved virtual. You can listen to our show on podcast, also on air on Saturday at 3 p.m. with a rebroadcast on Sunday at 8 a.m. I am your host, Tina Mitchell.
And I'm your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
We bring into studio each week the best of the best experts in our local market on everything money. We're here to help you in today's economy. And now in studio, we have Gloria Chien of VIS Designs, 5 reasons to have an architect involved prior to property purchase transaction. What is new due to COVID, right here on 1150 AM KKNW. Gloria, welcome back. And we're excited to have a conversation with you today.
Yes, me too.
So, Gloria, I understand that an architect can help a home buyer in house remodeling after the transaction is done. I was always curious about this. Is it better to get you involved beforehand as far as when you're looking at properties and making sure it fits what you need, as we'll call it maybe a canvas, right, for you to work your magic?
Yes, definitely. It's when a modification has been made in the past in the house or on the property. That's when you need an architect to help you. And also when a previous approved permit is attached to the selling. Another situation is when a remodeling will take place after the purchase is made. So for example, like addition or doing something else, maybe a business. And the fourth one is when the buyer is looking for property as an investment or for a business operation.
So Gloria, what, if any, would be your role in helping a buyer during the property searching stage?
Yeah, the role of an architect is to help the buyer to communicate with the jurisdiction, which can be a city or a county, about the permit requirements if they plan to do something after the purchase. Not every buyer would have this need, but some would. And also for the transparency of the seller, from the seller side. So like a previous approved permit, is this closed or is still open? What's the scope of work, how much they have finished and how much left. And also the architect can make suggestions to the buyer for the things that are required to be disclosed prior to the purchase. So sometimes the seller says one thing, but then actually it's something, it's different what you think actually. And then the last thing is, we can check the zoning code and the building code for what the buyers plan to do. And then we can give them a reality check. So if what they plan to do would violate the code or not. If it would, then that's not a good property. And if everything is wide open, and that's a good property for them to purchase.
Yeah, and what a huge benefit in taking on that role, because yeah, you definitely want to not make any mistakes when it comes to coding and permitting and all of that if you're doing a big remodel project with your new home, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And how terrible would it be to buy a house and realize you just can't do what you wanted to do with the home just by definition of the house itself or code. So what are some of the additional benefits that you would suggest as far as working with an architect prior to purchase?
Yeah, so what we can do is we can give the buyers confidence for purchasing a good and clean property. Like what you just said, they put such big money to this property. They want to make sure everything is right. They don't want to waste their money in buying something. For example, there's a wetland on their property, and then they thought, oh, I have a pond, I can do something, I can build a bridge over the pond. I can enjoy the pond, but actually you can't do anything about it. This is non-touchable. Yeah, so such things like that, we can help the buyers to figure it out to avoid that from happening.
So any additional benefits, Gloria, to making sure that you're consulting with your architect prior to making that purchase?
Yes, there are another things. So we can help the buyers to come up with a realistic scope of work. And then from that scope of work, you will know, have a basic idea how much construction cost it can be. It's not precise, it's still in the beginning, right? Beginning stage, but you will probably have an idea, oh, maybe this is gonna be 100,000, or maybe this is just gonna be a 20,000, or it can be 200,000, you know, so that you know what you're buying, and then what you're gonna spend.
Yeah, that's so important. What about can you give us some specific examples, Gloria? Like, what are some examples where you've seen this actually come into play in your practice?
Yes. For example, I had a client that they came to me. They said this, the seller has already had a permit for the areas in the house that they plan to do. However, they did not. They only finished half of it, and then the other half they have not finished. But they said, they told the buyers, say, hey, we already got the permit. You don't have to do anything. You just, if you want to finish it, go ahead and finish it. So after I did some research for them, and actually that permit is closed. So the unfinished part, if the buyer wants to finish that part, the city requires a brand new permit. They cannot use the previous permit because that permit was closed. So this, something like this, they really want to find out before they purchase, right? So that they can negotiate, or they can do whatever, you know, the agents can help the buyers in the negotiation process. Another one is if there are some people, they start to think about building a mother-in-law unit on their property. For example, they can take care of their parents or their parents-in-law. So for that kind of projects, you do need to know about the zoning code for the city. So each city is different. And then you need either the architect or you yourself, the buyer, can find out from the city. And then another thing is some buyers would like to buy a house and then make that house into an adult family home for senior living. It's kind of like a business operation. In that case, we need to check the zoning if such business is allowed in that zone. If it is allowed, then we need to find out if they have enough space to build additional parking stalls. And also if the house has a way to create new bathrooms for each bedroom. And then if it's flexible. And also the house, if the house has different levels for the seniors need to go up and down, or it's flat. And so things like that, we can help them to determine if this house is good for them for the future remodeling or not. Another thing is some buyers would like to purchase a piece of land. It can be just one lot, but they want to tear down the whole house and build an apartment building on the property. And then in that case, we can help them for pro forma, the return of investment. We help them determine how many units would make more sense for the biggest return. So things like this, we definitely they definitely need architects to help them. That's what we call feasibility study.
And, you know, again, a huge benefit with Gloria and what you do in offering your clients, because you have, you know, that both sides of it where you're doing the design, you're making sure that it's set for permits. And yeah, we're seeing a lot of, you know, a lot of homes in Seattle, people are buying and just tearing it down and putting up apartments like you talked about. So Gloria, with inventory so low and there's just not very many homes available on the market to choose from, what can you do to speed up the decision-making process for potential buyers' purchase?
Yeah, if you know which city you're gonna buy, you can go ahead and then go to the city and talk to them and find out the answers for the following. First, the setbacks. What's the setback for this property? And also allowable maximum impervious area percentage for the property. That means if you want to do addition, like you want to add a sunroom or additional bedrooms. Also the easement locations, as well as the maximum allowable building height. That's when you want to build a second floor. Also, the very important thing is the fire flow availability. So that's, they require you to go to the water district and check if the fire hydrant has enough pressure in case of fire that they can bring the water to your house. If they don't have enough pressure, the city can require you to build to have a sprinkler system in your house, which costs a lot actually to do. So those things you want to make sure after the information you find out and talk to your architect, and then he or she can help you to determine if this is a good property or not. But you can do this ahead of time by yourself.
My goodness, Gloria, it's a good thing to have you, because there's a lot of details that you're covering here that, you know, we would not figure out. I think it's the same for mortgage people, like professionals, real estate agents. There's a lot of details. You think you're a genius and kind of go wing it, but the reality is, unless you've done it, you have no idea what you're even looking for. So good thing that your customers have you. I was talking to one of my friends. He built a new construction and it took him like a year to get a permit. It took forever. And I was shocked about that. I mean, once you purchase a property in your experience, and his was like a new build construction, or you remodeling or new construction, how long does that usually take to get a permit to do that?
For remodeling, it usually takes like for design, the designing part usually is the 2 to 4 months. For the new construction, only the design part, it can be a year. Depends on the scope of work. For permit, each city is different. For the remodeling, approximately 4 to 10 weeks. For new construction, it can take up to a year. Yeah.
All right. Well, Gloria, thank you so much for coming in today and sharing your wealth of information with our listeners.
My pleasure.